31st, 2020 meeting of the Wolfeboro Budget Committee. My name is John McDonald and I'm this year's chairman. Due to the COVID-19 coronavirus crisis, in accordance with the Governor Sununu's Emergency Order number 12, pursuant to Executive Order number 2020-04, this board is authorizing electronically. However, the Budget Committee has jointly decided to proceed with a hybrid meeting format, allowing for members of the public and the board to attend and participate in the meeting in person or virtually. In accordance with RSA 91-A:2(3), the board has 4 members joining the meeting remotely, which the public body has the authorization to allow. At this time, I'd like to take a roll call vote of all members present. For those participating virtually, please indicate your location and if you have any other individuals present in the room with you. Bob Tuffer?
Yes, hi, I'm in a room by myself.
Okay, thank you, Bob. John Burt?
Yes, I'm by myself in the house.
Thank you, John. Matt Plash?
Here.
Bob Lohman?
Here.
Bob Mulholland?
Here.
Brian Black?
I'm here. I'm at my office,
Okay.
and I am by myself.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Steve Johnson?
Here.
And Tom Bell is excused. He's got a water leak at his house from a dam, I guess an ice dam built up tonight. And John McDonald is here. And do we have Mr. O'Brien, the Selectman's representative?
Present.
Anyone else that I haven't called that's with us virtually? Okay, great. Votes taken during this meeting will be via roll call vote for all members in accordance with Emergency Order number 12. For members of the public, this is to confirm that we are, 1, providing public access to the meeting by telephone, with additional access possibilities by video or other electronic means through the GoToMeeting. All members of the public and board have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during the meeting through the GoToMeeting platform, and the public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in this meeting through dialing the following number: 1-571-317-3122, followed by the audio access code of 888-209-605, or by video following the directions on the Town of Wolfeboro website posted on the home page under the Virtual Town Meeting Login Information page. Providing public notice of necessary information for accessing the meeting, we previously gave notice to the public of how to access the meeting in person or use the GoToMeeting, and instructions provided on the Town of Wolfeboro website at wolfeboronh.us on the Virtual Town Meeting Login Information page. Providing a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting if there are problems with access. If anybody has a problem accessing this meeting via phone or computer, please immediately call 603-486-2692 or email hendrickson.leeann@gmail.com. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting, we'll adjourn the meeting and have it rescheduled at a later time. Okay, does anyone have any questions? Tonight we're going to be looking at the Health Department, Executive, Economic Development, Living Museum, and Technology. Mr. Town Manager, do you have anything to state before we start?
Just want to summarize, Mr. Chairman, where we are to date. The general fund budget, with the changes you've made, is at $14,911,430. The water fund is at $1,830,375. The electric fund is at $10,131,580. The sewer fund is at $1,597,285. Pop Whalen is at $225,218. All funds combined, we're at $28,695,888. or an increase of $616,230, or 2.195%. The general fund is up $671,488, or 4.716. I have this in spreadsheet form that provides a summary of all funds, provides a summary of the general fund accounts, water fund, electric fund, sewer fund, Pop Whalen fund, and after this evening, I will send that to the Budget Committee. With that said, I just would like to mention to the citizens out there, you may have, if you were looking for the meeting last week, it was canceled due to the snowstorm. I just would like to give a shout out to the Department of Public Works. That was a heck of a storm, and they did a fantastic job in taking care of our roads. With that said, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to hand it back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Town Manager. And again, they did a great job, the Public Works Department. They always step up and get our roads safe and clean. If I could just ask you a question. You said the general fund is up $671,488. Can you tell me how much of that is things that we have no control over, as far as retirement and things like that?
So I don't have it broken down to that level yet. A couple of things that I can tell you. Debt service at this point is up $239,543 on the general fund, and health care is up $148,950. Earlier, when this budget was handed to the Board of Selectmen, the retirement system increases were sitting at about $110,000, but I can get that for you if you please.
Okay, so there's roughly about $500,000 that we have no control over.
That's a pretty accurate estimate, but I can get that a little more.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, does anyone have any other questions or anything? Okay, let's start with the Health Department. It'll be first on the agenda.
One item in this Health Department budget, Mr. Chairman, you will see there was a request from our health officer to bring their pay level with the health inspector. We felt that that was a reasonable request, so we brought them in line with similar rates of pay.
I just got a quick question. Is that a salary position, whether she works or not, or he works or not?
Yeah, that is correct.
Okay, any questions on the 100 series? $200 series. $500 series. $600. $800. And that's it on the health. Any questions on the health from anybody? Okay, let's go to executive. And it's my understanding what we've been looking at the executive was the some questions on Wolfeboro waters.
Excuse me, John.
Yes, sir.
Back on the health. That position considered a town employee, or is that considered a stipend?
I believe that both the health inspector and the health officer are considered employees.
Okay, my comment that none of us ever gotten a report ever from them, seen them come before the budget committee, absent written from them, a budget submission, perhaps a report from the town report.
I'm sorry, Brian, we can't understand what you're saying, my friend.
I'm just curious that we've not really seen a report, at least to my knowledge, as to what they've done the prior year, except in the town report published, which we usually see around the election. This just drags in with the question we had earlier. Salary the same, regardless of whether or not they do anything.
So you were breaking up, but I think what you're alluding to is you'd like to see some documentation as to what these positions do throughout the course of the year, attached to this report rather than in the town report. That was kind of what I was getting from you, Brian. You were breaking up a lot.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for, particularly if they're considered a town employee as opposed to being a stipend to someone that's supposed to be involved.
So, Brian, if you can send me an email what you're looking for, I can certainly get that information. We're just having a terrible time understanding you.
I'll do that. John?
Brian, Leanne's going to call you in just a minute or so.
Hey, John?
Yes.
There appears to be too much of an echo from the original microphone. I don't know if you heard that.
Yeah, we did, Bob. It looks like the audio guy up there on the stage is taking a look at it. We'll just wait a minute for Leanne to come back.
Mr. Chairman, is our next subject the executive budget?
It's the executive, yes.
Thank you.
In particular, the request by Wolfeboro Waters, I think it is. You okay to go? Okay, let's move on to executive, in particular Wolfeboro Waters. I see that Select Person Linda Murray's joined us. Good evening, Linda. Thanks for joining us. This was a request. It was on line 872, Wolfeboro Waters, and there was a new request for $18,650.
So, Mr. Chairman, I believe that Selectman O'Brien had sent out to the Budget Committee information relative to Wolfeboro Waters and the work which they perform. With that said, if there's any further questions, we can try to answer them.
I don't ever remember getting in the backup.
I believe that Paul O'Brien had sent out a link that night relative to it.
You didn't get it. Linda and I and Jim were going back and forth. I was going to add some to that. Budget committee never got that. It was between the three of us.
Okay, this falls squarely on me. I thought that I had sent, or I thought this was forwarded to the entire Budget Committee. I apologize. Wolfeboro Waters does have a website that they have created to document and show their work. I can try to direct questions to Paul and Linda to get these answered for you. I apologize.
John, in the garden,
Go ahead, John.
I would recommend that we wait until we get the information, read some time on it tonight. I recommend that we.
Mr. Chairman, this is Paul.
Yes, sir.
You guys, this meeting is just echo city. I don't know what's going on, but I can't hear Mr. Burke. It's not good.
Yeah, we also having difficulty hearing what folks are saying on your end. I heard John say something he recommends, but I didn't hear what he was recommending.
I recommend we cover this for a later, so I have asked for the backup is. Did you get that, Justin?
Again, John, I just heard that you recommend that. I didn't hear what you said after that. I'm sorry.
Recommend that we take this subject later date and read and be prepared to discuss it at a later date. Did you get that, John?
Did you make out what he said?
I was trying to read his lips.
Did you get that, John?
I just heard that you recommend, John. I'm sorry. I guess I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Every selectmen's meeting I watch, there's never an issue. Right? Every other planning board, there's never an issue. But when it comes to the budget committee, we always seem to have some kind of issue connecting. I'm not quite sure what that's due to. It's just bad luck.
It's probably right.
It's a conspiracy.
Mr. Chairman, I've sent the Wolfeboro Waters link out to you, and I apologize.
If I may, John, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, just come lean forward a little bit for me, Bob, so I can hear you.
Okay, you gotcha?
Yeah.
All right. I think when we last discussed this, the backup that was originally on the budget request was somewhat vague, and I think the request was made at that time for not necessarily what Wolfeboro Waters does, but what does this money represent? And the last I heard, it was for supplies, mostly.
Okay.
I'd like some detail, and I think that's what the issue is here. At least part of it.
What they're going to use the $18,000 for,
Yeah.
basically.
what makes it up? I mean, if it's, you know,
Whether it's
if the
staffing or
vast
water
majority of it is supplies, I'd like a breakdown. Because my understanding is this is all volunteers. And I guess that's my question is if it's all volunteers, how do we run it up to $18,650 without any detail of the supplies required to do the work?
John, can you hear me now?
Go ahead and try it, John.
Okay. I resent trying to make a decision based on information that we have not been provided. And therefore, I recommend that for this subject, the water, this water, we handle it for a later session.
Okay, so what I'm getting from you is you want to table the Wolfeboro Waters for right now?
That is absolutely correct.
Is that a yes? I'm sorry, John.
Yes. Y-E-S.
Okay, we have a motion to table looking at Wolfeboro Waters in the executive branch. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Bob Tuffer, the motion is to table the Wolfeboro Waters in the executive branch.
Yes.
John Burrett?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. Matt Plash?
Yes.
Bob Lohman?
Yes.
Bob Mulholland?
Yes.
Brian Black?
Yes.
Steve Johnson?
Yes.
John McDonald votes yes. Motion passes.
John,
Yes.
can I just make a comment? So I'm looking at the minutes. I don't know if you can hear me. I'm looking at the minutes from the last meeting, December 10th, and it specifically was requested by Bob Lohman. He wanted to know what the expenses of the request was for. So that they have a funding request for 2021, and the committee would like to know what exactly those expenses, the funding request is comprised of.
That is correct.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
so Mr. Woolman is correctly in, you are correct. That's a bad on us. I have a copy of the email on December 11th that Linda and Jim and I sent out, and I think it just didn't get to you folks. So thanks for your patience. We'll get something to you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. O'Brien. I want to just take a quick look at line 320 in executive. Legal expenses. In my record, I show they've spent $56,874. Up to October 3rd, 2019, they spent $81,284.80.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
does Mr. Burt have a 5-year average on that line?
I'm about to give it to you. 117,623, $117,623. That's updated figures. Did you all get it?
Can you just do that, like 8652, whatever the number is?
John Bird, I think the answer is 117,823.
117,623.
What was it?
117,623, I believe, is what he said. Huh? That's what he.
117.
John, what was that number?
Okay. 117,623.
Yeah.
97,603.
Say again, please.
97,603.
Thank you.
623. 116.
It's
623.
623, okay.
623, 117,623, I believe.
No, 97,623.
Oh, 97? Okay.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Thank you, John.
Email me at this point.
Okay, let's move on to
This is ridiculous.
economic development.
I have a quick question for the executive. The question I have is, what will the miscellaneous, what are that line for? Spent a lot of money there.
John, if that's you, I can't understand anything that you're saying. I'm sorry.
Can you hear me, understand me now? I'd like to know what is in line for miscellaneous expenses.
I don't think I do either. Nope, I don't. I don't think any of this is. That's okay.
I'm going to change machines, John, see if that does anything.
Am I able to understand?
John, hold on. We're going to have someone take a look at the computer.
Thank you.
Yeah, right here. Yeah. Yeah. I downloaded it. He sent me an email with it and I downloaded it. Yeah, I do. As a matter of fact, hang on. Hang on. Hang on, let me go there. Oh, rats, I can't do it. I don't have a connection. I don't have a Wi-Fi connection, but maybe...
Brian Black, say something.
What would you like to hear? Christmas Carol?
Thank you very much. We're all set to go. John Burke, can you say something?
Yes, can you understand me now, John?
That's much better, thank you.
Okay, my question is, where is the $5,500 in the miscellaneous element for?
It's under the Economic Development Committee budget?
No, we're not,
No,
Kathy.
about the, this is right underneath the executive budget. There's a section, the next section is miscellaneous expenses, and it's controlled 100% by the budget, by the executive office.
So the $5,500, if I'm understanding you, you want to know what that is used for, is that correct, John?
That is correct.
Yeah, I have them on
That's
paper, and I don't have them in paper.
That is utilized for miscellaneous items
And
that
audit.
happen in town throughout the course of the year. It could be used to purchase retirement gifts, it could be used to purchase flowers, it could be used for a variety of things. I don't have a breakdown at this point of what it's used for on an annual basis, but I could probably get that for you.
I think it's a good idea because it has been provided in the past, sort of a guideline. Thank you.
I got it, John. I see what they did.
We're waiting for John to get back to his seat.
I got it. I see it came in your meeting for tomorrow night's stuff. I didn't see that. Yeah, I got it.
That's okay.
We got it.
Okay, sorry for the delay. I tried to get the audio things fixed, and I'll be working off my my phone for economic development. Okay, any questions on the 100 series?
I'm here to answer any questions if you have them.
No, that's okay. Thank you, Kathy. Hope that's you. The 200 series. $300 series.
Hey, John,
Yes, sir.
can you hear me all right?
Yes, you're perfect. Go ahead.
Something that I was discussing with John Burt recently was the possibility of moving the New Year's Eve fireworks out of patriotic purposes and into the EDC budget for a couple of reasons. July 4th is a celebration of our country's independence, and that would be considered a patriotic purpose. New Year's Eve is a worldwide celebration of the incoming new year, and we don't think that's a patriotic purpose. It's more of a celebration of the new year. And since the Economic Development Committee has agreed to pay half of this cost, we think it would be better to be in the EDC budget. This way, I'm sure they keep an eye on that budget, and it would remind them every year that they have to come up with their half of the cost of the fireworks. So I think John has a line number for you, so I was just teeing John up there, so, John?
Go ahead, John.
Okay, I've got the line numbers in the patriotic budget. It's line number 45832-380. And I recommend that, make a motion to remove $2,500 from that line, and then place it into the following line in the economic development budget, 46520-380 plus 2,500. Did I go too fast on that?
Yeah, let me find patriotic purposes. I think I can figure out the line to take it out of, and I'll just run it by you to make sure that's acceptable to you.
Fireworks would be 45832 would be the fireworks line.
In patriotic purposes?
So there's two lines. There's a patriotic purposes, which is 31, and 32, which is fireworks, which is currently budgeted at $15,500.
Okay, but that's not going to, we're not spending $15,000 just for first night or January 1st. I think what he wants to do is he wants to take out what other money for first night.
He wants to reduce it by $2,500.
He wants to reduce it by $2,500?
That's what I understood.
That is correct.
And then the line that he should be adding it to?
He's going to be adding it to the 380 line under economic development, if I understood him correctly.
That is correct.
Okay.
Is that really the appropriate line in the Economic Development Committee? Outside services specifically to the Chamber of Commerce? 380 is specific to the Chamber of Commerce. Do you want that to go to the Chamber of Commerce, or do you want it to the EDC to oversee that? Because we do not oversee currently line item number 380 in the Economic Development Committee budget.
Who does oversee that? That line?
That is the Board of Selectmen, I guess, and the Chamber of Commerce.
Who has over on economic development?
See, what you have here, John, is an economic development budget, and the Economic Development Committee has our budget in here, and then there's this other item under 380, which is outside services specific to the Chamber of Commerce, which is how the selectmen have identified that. So it might be more appropriate to put it under, I don't know, maybe it would be more appropriate to include it under the budget for the Special Events Committee, which I think is under advertising. Linda will correct me on that, but I believe the $500 that the Economic Development Committee spends right now for last night, it ought to be in the same place as that, it seems to me. And I would presume that you are adding that to our budget, not expecting us to take it out of something else.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's fine. Maybe it should be a special item for special events, and we should create another item in the Economic Development Committee. But Linda, currently it's under advertising, is it not?
That is correct. It comes out of the advertising budget for that.
We could put it,
Mr. Chairman?
we could put it in there for now, but it seems like maybe we should have a special events item.
Okay, hold on for a second, please. Go ahead, Mr. Town Manager.
Yeah, if there's no objection, I'll create a 381 line, which would be fireworks within the EDC budget. Does that work?
Yeah, who pays for the other half? Who's gonna go out and get that money for the other half?
I'm going to say that's up to
Right here.
Kathy.
Yeah, it comes right out of the Economic Development's advertising budget, but I would move that $500, recommended moving the $500 from our advertising budget to the fireworks line. So it would all be in one place, under the new line that Jim's suggesting.
John?
Yes.
I am the chairman of the Special Events Committee of the EDC last night, Wolfeboro, and we will be tasked with going out and raising the $2,500 to match the $2,500 put in the budget.
Thank you, Linda. The town manager just recommended that you would create a new line, 381. Is that what you want to do, Jim?
I'm just thinking it would be easier accounting purposes.
Yeah, that we create a new line as 381 and make that fireworks and move the $2,500 to that line if that works for everybody.
Fine with you, John.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir, Mr. O'Brien.
Thank you. Kathy and Linda, you can correct me. The Board of Selectmen does not manage individual line items, specifically line 380. I've been on the board now for going on 3 years. We don't manage that line. That's the Economic Development Committee that manages that line.
No, I think what has happened, it's just a set sum that is given to the chamber to put out their calendar. And it goes, I believe, as a lump sum to them, and they put the calendar of events out for the town of Wolfeboro. It's Wolfeboro's calendar event, and it's managed and produced by the Chamber of Commerce.
That is correct.
I'm
That's
not disputing that. I was just simply clarifying the comment that you made, Kathy, that the selectmen manage that line. We don't.
Okay, all right, I'm sorry, it's a confusing line, so,
Thank you.
okay.
John?
Yes, John.
It was shown as a subline 380 in the fireworks area. It's sort of logic that it comes down in here and it's part of the 380 line. I don't care where it goes, it just doesn't belong in the fireworks. patriotic.
Jim, did you make out what you were saying or anything?
He just doesn't feel that it should be under patriotic, and that's why he's recommending this. He doesn't, what I understood is he really didn't care which line in the EDC it went to. He didn't want it in patriotic purposes.
If we put it in the EDC, who controls the money? Do the selectmen have any say?
Well, at the end of the day, I do, because I'm the one who has to sign the purchase order for it.
Okay, you go ahead, Linda.
Christine Collins, our Park and Rec Director, is on the committee also. So it's kind of a joint committee, but we would have to send an invoice. She would do all that paperwork as she does for any other event that she's part of. So it would go through the normal process of the town. And if we got we raised $2,500, we'd have to have it on a Board of Selectmen's meeting to accept that money. We'd go through that whole process.
Okay, so everyone can be assured that that $2,500 will be used for fireworks and not for some other purpose?
Correct.
Okay.
Especially if it says fireworks.
We have a lot of things like that, Kathy.
Yep.
It doesn't always turn out that way.
Well, that's true, I suppose, but.
Okay, John, let me paraphrase your motion to see if it's correct. The motion is to move $2,500 from patriotic purposes, account number 45832, to economic development. And the new line item would be 381 fireworks. Is that your motion, John?
Absolutely, and thank you, John.
Okay, and do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, got a second. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, hearing none, this will be a roll call vote. Again, it's to move $2,500, which is fireworks, in particular the New Year's Eve fireworks, out of patriotic purposes, 45832, to the Economic Development Committee budget, where a new line entitled Fireworks will be created, and that $2,500 will go in there. Any questions? Seeing none and hearing none, Bob Tuffer?
Yes.
John Burt?
Yes.
Matt Plash? Yes. Bob Lohman?
Yes. Bob
Mulholland?
Yes.
Brian Black?
Yes.
Steve Johnson?
Yes.
And John McDonald votes yes. That's unanimous.
I want to apologize for taking up so much time.
Okay, 200 series, 300 series, 500 series, 500. Just a quick question, Mr. Town Manager. On 562, it says moved $1,509 from consultants to this line.
Yeah, Kathy can speak to this, but what they did is they moved funds from the 311 consultants line into this line, and she can speak to what the plan is.
So we moved it into the 562 line, advertising. It's not in dues and subscriptions, it's in 562 advertising. John, I don't know if you did move on to the 562 item. We did that because we feel that we don't have a particular project under consulting at the moment. We have a plan for possibly coming in with something for 2022 where we would use that, and we're going to get some, we're going to send out some requests for proposals so that we have a specific item, which would be looking at doing some kind of a survey and getting some data on the number of summer visitors that we have. But we're not prepared to do that this year. So instead, for 2021, where we anticipate that we're going to have to make some adjustments to try to do more to support the businesses in town as we recover from the COVID pandemic, we wanted to move it to the advertising line item so that it stays within our budget and that we have it there to use this year if we need it. We're not exactly sure where we are going to do that. We're going to be looking hard at what we can do best to support our business community as they recover from this economic difficulties.
Thank you, Kathy. Okay, 600, 800. Okay, they sit on economic development. Does anyone have any questions of Kathy or the town manager on economic development before we move on? Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you very much. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies, for taking the time to listen to us, and good luck with all your hard work. Thank you for what you do. We really appreciate it. Good evening.
You too, Kathy. Okay, but let's move on to Libby Museum.
Mr. Chairman, I believe this particular budget, there was a specific question related to the building maintenance line. We had gone through this budget. Is that not correct, Mr. Lohman?
That is correct.
And the specific question, if I remember correctly, was relative to building maintenance, which this budget has $3,750. The question was raised about the Libby Museum Capital Reserve Fund, which was established in 2020 by warrant article. The warrant article reads, to see if the town will vote to establish a capital reserve fund for the purpose of renovating, expanding, and repairing the Libby Museum, and further to raise the sum of $300,000 to be deposited in said capital reserve fund to be under the custody of trustee of trust funds. The Board of Selectmen are designated as agents to expend the funds from this capital reserve fund. So in principle, I think what Mr. Lohman was alluding to was the fact that there are certain things that we could do for building maintenance, which would utilize the funds in that capital reserve. I'm not disputing that. I think that there is some items that could be, but for the day-to-day operations of the museum, I think that this is an appropriate budget, which is in line with historic budgets for the Libby Museum.
Any questions on that?
You have characterized it correctly, Mr. Town Manager. That's exactly what my point was. Thank you. I'd like a 5-year average on this one, Mr. Burt. Can you give us that? Line 435.
$2,064.
Let me feed that back to you and let me get a yes from you. 2,064?
That is correct.
I'd like to make a motion to reduce that line item to $2,050.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, Bob, you want to speak to your motion, please?
Well, based on the 5-year average, it seems to me that this, even though the requests have been level for the last 3 years at least that I'm looking at, the 5-year average indicates that a reduction in that line is warranted.
Mr. Town Manager, looking in the backup, and I don't see what they're going to spend that money on. Do you have anything that you could kind of guide us?
To my knowledge, this is traditional repairs, light bulbs, you know, the ancillary equipment that it takes to operate the building. It's interesting you say that, because let me pull up what it says under narrative number 5.
I do have one particular question, Mr. Town Manager. I noticed it looks like 2019, we spent $9,400 on building maintenance, and I'm just wondering if that may have been misapplied when it was spent? Or did we have that many daily maintenance functions going on?
That's a good question, Mr. Lohman. I can do a search to figure out what those expenses were. Right off the top of my head, I really could not tell you. It would be a complete guess.
I guess, Mr. Chairman, if I may, I guess that's my problem. I'm seeing that $9,400 expenditure in what looks like 2019, and I'm just wondering if part of that would have been more appropriately taken out of the capital reserve account. I mean, without knowing what it is.
Yeah, we also got to remember that we had the COVID all summer long, and the museum wasn't opened at all, so they wouldn't spend any money for any type of, you know, daily building maintenance, because there was nobody going in and out of there.
No. I'm not talking about 2020, Mr. Chairman. I'm talking about 2019, the $9,414.
Right.
I'd like to know what that is made up of, because it looks to me like a big number. And if that was made up of regular maintenance items, okay, fine. I find it a little hard to believe that we would propose $3,750 if in fact that $9,414 was regular maintenance and not something that should have been taken out of the capital reserve account. I just have a problem with the way this whole thing is accounted for.
Okay, well, right now we've got a motion to reduce that line to $2,050. So we can either vote on that motion, or you can not give that motion, whatever you feel comfortable with.
I'd like to vote on it.
Okay. Any more discussion?
Yeah, I have a question. On the building maintenance, do the Friends of the Libby contribute anything towards building maintenance?
Do the Friends of the Libby, and you broke up?
Oh.
Do they contribute anything to building maintenance? The answer is yes.
Absolutely.
Okay. So would that be the bulk of it, or?
No.
Well, no, from year to year, sometimes they've done painting, sometimes they've redone floors. That could have been something to do with floors, but they have helped out tremendously with a bunch of the repairs for that facility.
Okay, thank you.
And I think, Mr. Chairman, can I speak for a second?
Yes, go ahead, Paul.
Thank you, sir. And I think the 2019 expenses before we set up the actual capital reserve, isn't that right, Jim?
That would be correct.
So, I don't have the history either, my mind's mush, but I think what we were beginning to see in the 2018, 2019, actually before that, if you look at some writings that were prepared, there was a lot of stuff that needed to get fixed. And in 2019, we spent, I think, as you say, $10,000 or $9,000, $10,000 or so. And I think for the Board of Selectmen, we all said, I think it's about time, we think it's about time we start putting a capital reserve together. So for the big things that need to get done, not small stuff, but the big things that need to get done, shoring up the foundation in those, that's what the capital reserve was set up for. To the best of my knowledge, and just remembering what we just did with with the Libby, the monies that we look like we're going to spend next year, if you walk in the door, and I know those of you who are general government board members that look at this stuff, and you walk in the door, you take a hard look behind you to the right, you'll see half the ceiling is peeling off. And that's not capital reserve money. That's going to be maintenance money. So that's about as far as I can go. I think the request is bona fide, but you got a motion, you have to deal with it.
So,
John?
I have the answer to his question about 2019.
so Mr. O'Brien is absolutely correct. A lot of these expenses from 2019 are expenses which would have come out of the Building Maintenance Capital Reserve Fund as established. For example, in 2019, the laser measurements for the Libby Museum were taken from this account. Preservation Timber came in and did some work on these, this building, but the invoice for the laser measurements alone was $9,200. So
I have something to add to that. I have the minutes before me for November 18, 2019, and Alana Albee specifically stated that the building maintenance line was overexpended due to a failure of the security system, a failure of the phone system, and the movement in the walls and foundation issues, which required the laser measurements to have to be done, and the underpinning of the floors were shored up. That's where the expenses, the over expenditure in the line for 2019.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
So if I may, if we consider, let's say, $9,000, which is the number I just heard about the laser measurements, were actually should have come out of a non-existent capital reserve fund, that brings the 5-year average down even further. I stand on my motion.
Okay, I go over to Libby quite a bit. I didn't go over this year because of the COVID and they went open, but the volunteers over there do a lot of work for free. And I've been over there in the spring, the early spring, and they've been in there painting and doing a lot of other stuff and not charging the town for their hours or services or whatever you may want to call it. And it would just take to have them not have some kind of funds available to buy paint if someone wants to go over there and paint for free or do whatever work they need to do and not charge the town anything. That's just how I feel about on the decrease. For anyone that wants to know. Okay, we got a motion to decrease line 435 building maintenance to $2,050. This would be a roll call vote. Bob Tuffer?
No.
John Burt?
Yes.
That's a yes, John? Okay. Matt Flash?
Yes.
Bob Lohman?
Yes.
Bob Mulholland?
No.
Brian Black?
No.
Steve Johnson?
Yes.
And John McDonald votes no. Let's see what we got for a count here.
4 to 5.
I got 4 yeses and 4 noes. Is that what you come up with there?
To tie.
4 and 4, and the motion fails. What's that? Tie doesn't go to the runner. Yeah, failed. Yeah. Okay, are we all set with the Libby? Okay, let's move on to technology.
So, Mr. Chairman, under technology, when we met in July this summer, I had briefed you about some items that would be forthcoming in the 2021 budget proposal, and this budget is one of those items. If you look at the 100 series, you'll see 113, which is supervisory wages of $32,790. And you'll also see line 117, which is part-time wages, $3,120. This is a request to come forward with a full-time, 35-hour-a-week IT person. Currently, our IT person works 10 hours a week, and we simply can't count on that few hours. So we're requesting a full-time IT person, again, 35 hours a week, and that's why you see the increase or the new line of supervisory salaries, because this will be where the funds would come from. I'd be happy to try and answer any questions you may have, but I think one of the things that we've all noticed, you know, we've got telephone budgets, which are all over the place. We've got copier budgets, which are all over the place. We've got aging computers. We've got software that's everywhere. We've got software that does not talk appropriately to hardware systems. And the asks of the committees, the department heads, are just becoming more and more prevalent as every day goes by. We saw it this evening. We've seen the technology issues. And to be able to have somebody to count on, not that the IT person that we currently have isn't doing a fantastic job for the 10 hours a week, but she's only working 10 hours a week. And this is a huge, huge component of the operations of the town. I'll try to answer any questions you may have.
Yeah, I have one. When you're talking about technology and what you described as far as computers, printers, and so on and so forth, is a $33,000 salary enough to garner someone who's going to be worth that?
Excellent question. So the $33,000 is for 3/4 of a year.
3/4 of a year?
3/4 of a year. It's not a full year. And again, it's at 35 hours a week, not 40. It's a very fair question. I'm hoping that we will be able to come to terms at this.
I mean, you could. I mean, just an open question.
Yep, it's a very fair question, and it seems to be in line with what a lot of communities are paying for this type of person. Now, this does not mean that we are going to get rid of our contract with Block 5. That contract is due up later this summer, but you know, this certainly will take some of the load off of that Block 5 contract.
Will they be working out of the town office, and will they have offices, and will they have an office in this building or a different building?
That's a very interesting question. Logistically, we are still working through those items. The individual certainly does have the ability to work remotely for a lot of the projects that is required. She can access all the town hall systems remotely. So there is the possibility of remote work. She does currently have a small cubicle which is shared with a bunch of different staff, but we know that is not the optimal way to work in a shared office space.
The person that you mentioned, is she the person that you are looking to hire?
At this point, based on the what we're looking for a scope of work, you know, I'm not going to sit here and say that absolutely, but I do believe that the path to full-time, we should provide opportunities for those people that are part-time to step up into that role. And if that individual is the best candidate for the job, that's an individual that we'll fill the position with.
So when you say this is for 39 weeks, when do you anticipate that you would put this into operation? Sometime March, April?
It would most likely be the first week in April.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Town Manager,
Yes, sir.
I have a question for the town manager.
Go ahead.
Jim, assuming that we go, you know, if this goes forward, do you see a reduction of any kind anywhere else in this budget as a result of having a permanent IT person? I'm looking at line 380 specifically.
Which line did you say, Bob? 380?
380, website maintenance and hosting. I guess I'm wondering if a permanent IT person would have an effect on that line.
I don't think the 380 line, they would, because those are actually, if I remember correctly, these are actually the licenses with the seats to utilize the Civics Plus website, which hosts the Town Hall website, and it's also the assessing software. It's the seats to be able to get in to those programs and operate them.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
How about computer maintenance?
If there would be any place where we might see a reduction, and again, this is speculating because we would have to go out to RFP in the year 2021, it would be on line 425. It would be the Block 5 contract and maintenance, which is $91,737, but we aren't at that point of renegotiating yet.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Thanks. We asked Jim the same question that Mr. Lohman just asked, and I think the opportunity here, and I know this is not going to please you guys, but the opportunity here is to take this tangled mess of what we have for telephone, internet, and computing and software and try to put some rationalization to it. Reflect on all the questions you guys asked about these telephone lines we have. Well, not only do we have telephone lines from Consolidated, we got telephone lines from First Light, we got telephone lines from Atlantic Broadband, we have internet service from First Light, we have internet service from Atlantic Broadband. We have we've made everybody in this town an IT manager, and it's really not appropriate to do that. So, I think what we gave Jim as a kind of a go-do is to try to make some sense out of the spending we have around cell phones, telephones, internet access, and this Block 5 contract. If we could mine a couple of bucks out of that, and I'd ask KC to help us kind of figure out how much we spend in all of that in total. If we can mine a couple of bucks out of that, it's money well worth spent. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien. Okay, so we're doing the 100 series, 200 series. What do you have budgeted for health insurance for this position?
Currently, it's budgeted at $12,700 and some change, and that's an estimate on a when we propose new positions, we propose them at a two-person plan for half a year. And the way that the new person would come on, there's a waiting period. So the 6 months is an appropriate budgeting formula.
Okay, 200 series, 300, 400.
I have a question, Mr. Town Manager. In light of what Paul said as far as like all the different telephone lines and different things that we have in place with technology, is it realistic that she will be able to address those issues within the time constructs that she has and really solve some of the anomalies that you're experiencing?
I don't think it's going to be something that she's going to be able to achieve on day one.
No, of course not.
But I am very confident that with her and the talents of our finance director that I think will be able to come forward in 2021 into 2022 with a much more, much clearer understanding of what a lot of these things look like. We're quickly learning that, you know, we've got some issues with our phone system. And, you know, how do we figure that out going forward? You know, and these are technology-driven devices.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
One comment. I am an absolute firm supporter of this particular budget. It is sadly needed.
Thank you. Mr. Town Manager, I had a question about 440 rentals and leases. That Tri-Nec public safety software?
Yep. So this is an interesting one, and this is an example of where items are all over the place in the budget. When I was fire chief, we transitioned to this Tri-Tech software, which mirrors that of what Central Dispatch and the police utilize. And at that time, the lease purchase was placed, lease purchase of the software was placed into this line, as was the annual license lease. So we kept it there as opposed to transitioned it to the department that it belongs, which would have been the fire department. Now, this is a question that we're going to have to figure out going forward. All of these different departments that have these individual contracts with various software providers, where does it go? Because as Mr. Lohman alluded to earlier, even within this budget, the assessing software is under website maintenance and hosting. So it is kind of all over the place, and this would definitely be an area where the IT person would be working to resolve how we do this going forward in conjunction with our finance director.
But she's not going to be able to provide any support to fixing the problem with maybe basic things, but as far as correcting or writing the assessing software, she's probably not going to.
No, but she certainly would be point of contact.
Okay. And that would be the same for the police department has some other software that they use or whatever it is.
Correct. I mean, you look at the police department's budget, they have a series of software programs that are under their budget, and then you look here under computer maintenance, there is a series of different software programs here, and then there's one under rentals and leases, so it's kind of all over the place, to be totally honest with you.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I think I heard Steve's question. Maybe I didn't, but I think Steve said, can this person square all this stuff away in the first year? Was that kind of your question, Steve?
No, it was not the first year. I didn't want to have such high expectations or too high expectations of this person be able to address all those things.
Yeah, I'm with you.
In a single year.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I mean, first and foremost is we got to ensure that we don't back the truck and dump every one of our IT and IS problems on this person and say go fix them, because that's a prescription for failure.
I think the town manager's idea, as far as having one person that where it funnels through, will be a good way to kind of sift through some of the things that are duplications and things we don't need to address, you know, so.
Yeah, I agree with that. Thank you, Steve. I just wanted to make sure I was clear on it. Thank you.
Okay.
John?
Yes, John.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I was talking with Brenda LaPointe the other day, and she said, we really need somebody like this because she has at times had to spend 3 or 4 hours ironing out a problem with her system. Where the people that we get in the IT segment be able to help her out so that she doesn't have to spend 4 hours of what she really has to do in order to resolve a problem with her system. Did I make sense there?
Okay, if I can paraphrase what you just said, you're happy with this position? You support?
Am I position? Yes.
Okay.
That this person in this position can help out the tax collector or town clerk if they run into a problem with their systems.
Okay, thank you, John. Okay, 700 series.
Super, John, my question is, will this person in the IT section be able to help out the tax collector if she has a problem with her system? Yes or no?
Jim, do you want to address that?
I believe he's alluding to the fact that the IT person will be able to help out the various departments, which will allow those department heads to stay focused on their jobs.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Okay, any other questions on the IT budget? Technology. Okay, that's all that I have for the budget reviews tonight. We've got some minutes to consider. First one's being the minutes of November 23rd, 2020. Can I get a motion concerning those minutes?
Move to accept.
Second, okay. Any discussion? Okay, so the motion is to approve minutes of November 23rd, 2020. This should be a roll call vote. Bob Tuffer?
Yes.
John Burt?
Yes.
Matt Plesh?
Yes.
Bob Lohman?
Yes.
Bob Mulholland?
Yes.
Brian Black?
Yes.
Steve Johnson?
Yes.
John McDonough votes yes. Next one, the minutes of November 30th, 2020. Can you get a motion concerning those minutes?
Move to accept.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, hearing none. Bob Tuffer?
Yes.
John Burt? John Burt?
Yes.
Okay. Matt Plash?
Yes.
Bob Lohman?
Yes.
Bob Mulholland?
Yes.
Brian Black?
Yes.
Steve Johnson?
Yes.
And John McDonough votes yes. Next minutes to consider, December 8th, 2020. Motion to accept them as written.
Move to accept.
Okay. And a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, hearing none. Bob Tuffer?
Yes.
John Burt?
Yes.
Matt Plash?
Yes.
Bob Lohman?
Yes.
Bob Mulholland?
Yes.
Brian Black?
Yes.
Steve Johnson?
Yes.
Excuse me. John McDonough votes yes. Okay, now for the last one, the minutes of December 10th, 2020. Can I get a motion concerning those?
Motion.
A second?
Second.
Okay. Hearing any further discussion, Bob Tuffer?
Yes.
John Burt?
Yes.
Matt Plash?
Yes.
Bob Lohman?
Yes.
Bob Mulholland?
Yes.
Brian Black?
Yes.
Steve Johnson?
Yes.
And John McDonough votes yes. That's it for the minutes. We're going to do the December 17th minutes in the future at this time. Okay, Mr. Town Manager, or anyone from the Select Board, or anyone out there and online have any questions or comments? Okay, no one responded. Tomorrow night, we have Conservation Commission, Fire Department capital outlay request, Library capital outlay request, Department of Public Works, and Department of Water and Sewer. I would ask everyone to try to review the budgets. We're coming down to the final push for any other changes or alterations you want to make to the final budget. As we just learned from the town manager this evening, we probably got about $130,000 that we could change if we needed to in the general fund budget. I know there's a couple of budgets that exceeded the guidelines set by the town manager and ultimately the selectmen that I'll be looking at. I'm not talking about budgets that are $27,000 and $28,000, but I'm talking budgets that are well over $1 million. Where not abiding by their recommendations can have a fairly substantial effect on their increase, which I feel at this particular time isn't a good time for it. We're going to have a lot of changes in January with the new president, and we're still not out of the COVID thing. And I hope people are calling you and stopping you on the street and talking to you about the reevaluations and their concerns about their taxes. Because I don't believe I'm the only one that people are talking to. So we'll be here tomorrow night, and if we can do a motion to adjourn.
Question?
Yes, sir.
As a matter of policy, and this is just, I don't know what the procedure is. When we table an item, what does that mean? Does that mean it's going to come up the following week, or?
Well, we were going to bring it up. Leanne will post it when we're going to bring it up, which will probably be fairly soon because we're running out of time.
But that's the process, right?
Yeah, Steve?
Question for the town manager. The Excel sheet that you talked about at the beginning of the meeting, will we see that in our emails tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll go through tonight or tomorrow, finalize that, and I'll get that off to you. To give you a brief explanation as to what the document looks like, you'll see the 2020 appropriation. You'll see the increase in dollars from 2019 to 2020, the percentage increase from 2019 to 2020, the 2021 request as it went to the Board of Selectmen, the increase in 2020 to 2021 in dollars and percents, and then a budget committee line, and then budget committee comparison to the 2020 budget. So that's what you will see.
Thank you.
You want to say something, Bob? You all set? Okay, does everyone else have any questions or concerns?
Oh, well, I do have one question of the town manager.
Go ahead, Mr. O'Brien.
The audio was a little squelchy there at the beginning of the meeting when you all went over the health officer budget. Was that tabled or was that just moved forward?
We're having Leanne take a look at that right now. Hold on.
I apologize for doing this. I just, we were having a hard time out here in TV land hearing that.
The health budget was not tabled. It was the Wolfeboro Waters portion of the executive budget that was tabled.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I do have a question of the town manager. That's going to be an Excel spreadsheet? Okay, thanks.
Do you have another request?
No, I just wanted to make sure that I read you.
It is Excel.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, I guess we're all set. Can we get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
And a second? Okay. And this will be a roll call vote. Bob Tuffer?
Yes.
John Burt?
Yes.
Bob Lohman?
Yes.
Steve Johnson?
Yes.
Bob Mulholland?
Yes.
Matt Flash?
Yes.
Brian Black,
Yes.
and John McDonald votes yes. Thank you, folks, for your time, and we'll see you tomorrow evening.